Hello, this is Isabel Rimanoczy, and this is the FlashLight, a new limited series of podcasts. The FlashLight is about highlighting events, experiences, or encounters that show a shift in the conventional mindset as it is happening around us. I called it the FlashLight because I realized that every day there are multiple interactions or experiences that are uplifting, gracious, caring, compassionate, and that are showcasing that humans want to be their best version, that they want to create a world with good interactions, with good relationships, and good experiences also. This, however, doesn't make much of the news, as we know. In the news, we see a different reality, but this is also reality. And while we see controversial, argumentative, or even shocking news or events portrayed, I was wondering, what about these other things that are also part of our reality and also show what is happening in the world? So I decided to call it a flashlight because a flashlight points into a corner and makes us see, notice things that otherwise would go unnoticed. And my hope is that by doing so with this brief podcast, you also start to use your own flashlight and point and notice and see and also share some of these experiences that are showing a shift towards a human evolution. So today I want to share about a movie that I recently watched. It's called The Conclave, and it is about the election of a new pope. I went to the movies in the traditional movie theater, which I haven't been there for a long time. And the first thing is that I realized that I am from a different century, which is true. But I particularly noticed it because when I started seeing the commercials or the trailers of the other movies that they show, everything was so very loud, very aggressive, very intense. And it made me think how each stimulus was more bolder than the other, because to capture the attention or the short attention span of the audience, we have to be bolder, more intense, or faster. And it really made me think how challenging in this environment that we all collectively are to pause, to stay in silence, to be quiet, because it is in that quietness that we can listen to the more subtle voices of our inner wisdom. At the same time, I was fascinated by the themes of this movie, The Conclave. Because one of the themes, or the main theme in this movie, is the interplay between two worldviews. One of these, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but I will share what I observed about these two worldviews that were featured, that were portrayed in the movie. One of these worldview is, we could say it's a conservative worldview. And there are a number of cardinals that feel represented by this worldview. And this is a worldview that is very uncomfortable with the uncertainty that they feel is coming all around. What do I mean by that? They see that the church is losing something because they're expanding and just accepting anything. And by accepting anything, we are losing our foundation, our roots, who we really are. They even talk about being ashamed that this relativism, where anything is possible or anything is acceptable, it's threatening the unity, the core of the church. So a way, as they say, a way to recover this unity is by going back to something that worked in the past, traditions or rituals. For example, having the service in Latin. Or they are looking or seeking a voice or a pope that represents that perspective. They feel very uncomfortable and want to regain a sense of certainty, a sense of safety by drawing a boundary. This is in and this is out. The other worldview, on the other hand, is represented by a different group of cardinals, and these cardinals have a different perspective. They see the world in a different way. They say, well, uncertainty, everything is uncertain, and we just have to be more open. We have to be open to accept other perspectives or people that don't think like us. We have to expand the boundaries. And that is our way to create unity by incorporating and by expanding the scope of caring, so to say. The interesting thing is that in the movie, the facilitator of this conclave starts sort of setting the stage and talking to all the cardinals, and he says uncertainty is unavoidable. This may not be exactly his words, but it's how I remember it. He says that certainty doesn't make space for tolerance. Uncertainty actually is against unity, doesn't allow unity. So, what is interesting, and the way I was observing these two interplays of worldviews, is that both are trying to do their best to cope with a reality, whatever the reality is. But they both are trying to cope. What is the best way to deal with this? And in a way, it reminded me of what is happening actually around the world, not only in the US, but also in many other countries, where we can see at play a conversation or a controversy, better rather not a very good dialogue, but it is a controversy between these two worldviews, where each worldview is sort of negating the other one, saying, I am the right one. And it is interesting how it is brought into this movie. And when I started thinking like that, I actually started thinking also of the trailers. The trailers that came before the movie, they were, I remember two trailers. One of a movie, I think it's called Wicked. And in that movie, there is a good character, sort of good, and this is a beautiful blonde white lady. And there is another one that is sort of the bad, and she is dark, and I think she's green, dark green, and she's sort of the evil. And what happens is that there is a conversation, a collaboration that starts between these two women, and they decide that they have to go on a mission together. I haven't watched that movie, so I don't know what mission they go together, but they decide we have to do this together. The other trailer is about a Disney movie that is called Mufasa. And that is about a little lion, and this is a stray lion. And the stray lion comes into talking or connecting with another little lion that is a noble lion. And so the community is rejecting that stray lion. They say, you don't belong here. You are not part of us. The rules are the rules. You cannot be here because you will distort our bloodline. We cannot incorporate you. And yet, the little lion and the other lion, they become friends, and they realize that despite what this community was saying, a more conservative worldview, if you want, trying to draw a circle, a boundary. This is in and this is out. But the two lions become friends and they get on the mission together, whatever mission they have. They say, we need to collaborate. So when I was connecting after the movie, I was connecting these three messages that I got in one afternoon. And what most fascinated me is thinking that there were some investors out there, because we know that every movie is an investment, is a business, and there are millions of dollars that are invested in this. So there were investors that said, this is a message that the time is right. There is an audience for this message. We need to do this, and it will be a blockbuster, probably. They say because they want a return on their investment. They are doing things because it needs to be good business. And that is what most fascinated me, because that showed me that it is not maybe a conscious decision that this is a new worldview. It is something that is in the air. There is a zeitgeist. There is something that is going on that makes this investor say, this is the right cutting edge message. Yes, this will capture the audience. It's not something old and we have done it many times. This is something new and it will capture something where the attention of the people can go. And I said, this is very interesting because what they were talking in a subtle way, these three different trailers and the movie, is it about a war against the other, or is it a war against ourselves, inside us, a war against the enemy we are fighting, our heart? And how can we listen to this heart that has a totally different message for us? So that was a point that gave me hope. And I know that there is noise. There is a lot of noise, but there is so much more happening. And that is really good. So this is the corner that I wanted to illuminate today with my flashlight. And I leave you with this question. Where do you see signs of this new, more caring mindset? My afterthought is that in the stories that I shared, we witnessed two ways of looking into the world. One is based on the either-or logic, meaning you are with me or you're against me. The other is the both-and logic. The either-or gives us a sense of certainty because it is very easy to think who is right and who is wrong, or what is right and what is wrong. It makes us feel more safe. The both-and, on the other hand, opens up a space for what we don't understand, for complexity, for paradoxes. It makes also space for the unknown. The both-and takes more work, yet at the same time, it also expands our perspectives.